Hello, in this video we are doing leather straps. It's something I've been musing on, of creating a new sub-series called really useful videos that have snapshots on certain techniques on certain portions of the miniature, so you wouldn't see the creation of all of this, just one specific portion of it that you can take into any aspect of your miniature painting. Let me know. As anything, feedback is key with this thing. It's a two-way communication thing, right? Unless you tell me, I don't know. In this episode, we'll be looking at how to do leather straps. We'll be looking at how to, a simple recipe. We'll be looking at the application. For this, we'll need our famous stick, sponge on a stick. And we'll also need one of the smallest brushes that you own. In this case, it's a 000 Winsor & Newton Series 7. For the recipe, rather straightforward. I'm using the wood and leather set from Scale 75. I will be using, sandalwood, red leather, black leather, and we can even add a touch of birch in there for contrast. So the miniature has been base coated with red leather. It's been given a gloss varnish and an oil wash over the top, so it's darkened all the leather down. Alternatively, you can simply use black leather as the base coat. From here, let's take some red leather, add a pop onto my palette. Let's take sandalwood. You know what, let's take some walnut as well. That's the missing ingredient. Walnut. I knew there was something I was missing. Okay, pinch of walnut. A nice messy palette. Let's pop birch on there as well because I promised. So the birch will be used for contrast. We're mainly using it for its value, so that's scale from black to white. Okay, so I want to slightly dampen my sponge. I don't want it too wet. If it's too wet, it bleeds off a lot. I mean, the clue's in the name, right? Sponge. It absorbs a lot. Okay, so for my first stage, I'll be taking red leather, lightly dabbing it on the surface. I'll be lightly dabbing off again until you can see the individual portions of it. You can see it's not the coherent, consistent. So I'm going to dab it off. I'm going to lightly dab it against the surface of the miniature. Now, because this is such a small scale, and because we've painted the miniature already, this might not be appropriate. However, if you're looking at larger scale miniatures like this, it's perfect, this technique. And if you're slightly earlier in the painting process, you can certainly use this stage, this brush, this technique to break up the leather. This will be available in another video tutorial coming in the Advent calendar series. So I'm going to pop this off to the side. I'm going to wash the brush, make sure no paint sticks in the sponge. I'm going to transfer over instead to my 000 Winsor & Newton brush. And the aim here is to create a similar pattern to that created with the sponge. If only we could get a sponge that small, if only we could create those marks without with that brush. That would be ideal. Now I'm struggling to exactly see the indentations and the marks. I'm going to add a small amount of walnut in here just to make it clearer to my eye where I'm adding these effects. You know what, I think if I'm very, very careful, even add a few. Oh, too wet. Technique with the brush is mainly using the tip, adding lots and lots and lots of little dots to create the effect I'm looking for. If you are interested in the remainder of this tutorial, if you want to see how to paint this Justearin from start, well, not this Justearin, but a Justearin from start to finish, there will be one available soon, either in the advent calendar coming in December or towards the end of the month. Haven't quite worked out the schedule yet. Working out the schedule for 24 individual tutorials as well as prize giveaways is a little bit taxing. If you haven't been a part of the advent calendar before, it is well worth sticking around for. Every day, every single day in December, patrons get a treat. You open something up, you either get a tutorial or a giveaway. You either get a tutorial or giveaway. You get something every single day. You lucky, lucky beggars. Every year I tell myself, never again, not doing this again. Nope, too much work. I look at other patrons and they're all shutting up shop come December. All taking time off. Nope, I should do that. I should take the time off. Nope. I'm really excited to do it again this year. I love doing it. But it is torture. Okay, the next step, we want to increase the amount of walnut we have in our mixture. And drag off the brush to a very fine point. And let's concentrate on this portion to begin with. So we've established the main basis of our work. Now we want to add finer leather scratches. Ideally, if you could put the model on its side and work the hard edge of the miniature with just the side of your brush, that's ideal. Now, obviously, this isn't applicable to every single miniature because not every single miniature will have these really nice hard edges that a resin miniature gives us. However, if you are able to do it, it's somewhat of a dry brush consistency. So the paint is visible enough or viscous enough to work its way off the surface onto the miniature, but not so wet that it kind of blotches and bleeds into the surroundings. You can always drag your brush across. If the bristles split, well, phenomenal, because you can create these little incidental scratches here and there. Next up, we take sandalwood. And we do the same thing. The aim really isn't to add scratches within what we've just done. Rather, it's to create variety to the scratches that are already there. When you look at cracked leather, it's not one colour. As miniature painters, we kind of sold on this idea of uniformity, that everything needs to be the same. If we paint a unit of these guys, well, every single scratch needs to be the same colour recipe, and it needs to be the same, But why? Why does it need to be the same? We can use very roughly the same basis, the same colours, but every miniature, every scratch will go through its own different experiences. It will go through its own different processes. Each scratch will look different, and you should embrace that. It leads to a much better end result. Uniformity kills creativity. Next up, we need to take sandalwood and add birch into it. This is our top highlight. Now, we don't really want a uniform highlight layer across here. Instead, what we're looking for is just to highlight the occasional strap here and there, where light's catching that extra big bit of leather. I'm going to throw a curveball in here. Iroko. Because uniformity is the death of creativity. Let's add a pinch of Iroko. And I want to add a few incidental scratches here and there in the warmer leather. There you go. For my Justearin, I do want it to have a slightly redder appearance to the leather. So if you see an example here, there's a slight more red purple to it. For this, I simply take Bloodfest Crimson, I believe it's called, from scale 75. Glaze it down, add it to red leather. It's 90% Bloodfest Crimson. Glaze it right the hell the way down. So we're looking at 1 part paint, so maybe 5 to 6 parts thinner. And I'm gently moving the brush over the surface of the leather to help pigment it red. And that is it. A simple color recipe for leather straps that give very, very high quality results. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed this sort of format, if you enjoyed these sort of really useful videos, we will look to make more in the future. Thank you. And any suggestions for topics, I'd love to hear them. Bye-bye for now.